There's not enough people talking about the government shutting down later this month. No one's clocking it. I'm clocking it early.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us. You guys are the real MVP. I came across this video on my For You and I thought to share where Americans are reacting to the fact that there is another pending government shutdown that is about to happen by the end of this, you know, month. Despite a lot of controversial statements on a special social platform, and I was able to put up some of those stitches. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some other stitch I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright, lovelies, let's dive into the stitches and we are going to come back to talk about it.
The U.S. government is once again risking a shutdown, even as Congress continues to approve hundreds of billions of dollars in military spending. Just months after the longest shutdown in U.S. history, Congress is back on the clock. Healthcare costs are on the line, and the U.S. is launching military operations abroad, including in Venezuela. Just a few months ago, Congress failed to pass a full-year spending bill by the deadline, which triggered a government shutdown that lasted for 43 days throughout October and early November 2025. During that time, hundreds of thousands of federal workers were furloughed or worked without pay, and many families faced delays and interruptions in vital services, including SNAP food benefits, before courts and subsequent funding action restored some payments while others were delayed or only partially issued. Then in mid-November, Congress passed a continuing resolution to reopen the government and fund most agencies through January 30th, 2026. That deal also promised future votes on issues like extending Affordable Care Act premium subsidies that expired at the end of 2025. These subsidies are what helped lower the amount people pay each month for their health insurance, especially for people who buy coverage through the Affordable Care Act marketplace. Without them, many families would see their monthly health insurance bills go up, even if nothing else about their coverage changes. If lawmakers do not pass a new funding bill or another extension before January 30th, the federal government could shut down again, meaning the same disruption to federal paychecks, benefits, services, and daily life that millions of people felt just a couple of months ago could happen all over again. And while Congress is once again debating whether to keep the government open and protect basic services at home, in the past few days, the United States carried out a major military operation in Venezuela, including airstrikes around Caracas and the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores, who were taken into U.S. custody to face federal charges. They launched airstrikes that hit multiple military targets, and reports indicate over 80 people were killed, including civilians and members of the Venezuelan armed forces and allied personnel. Just 1 month ago, Congress passed the largest military authorization bill in U.S. history, approving roughly $900 billion for the Pentagon, even as the Department of Defense failed its financial audit for the 8th year in a row, with auditors again unable to fully account for how that money is being spent. While people at home are bracing for higher health insurance costs, delayed or disrupted benefits, and the very real possibility of another government shutdown, the U.S. government is simultaneously moving forward with massive military spending, overseas operations, and actions that further destabilize other countries. Time and time again, funding for people's health care, food assistance, and basic stability is treated as optional or uncertain, while money for war, weapons, and military operations abroad is approved quickly and without hesitation.
There is less than a month until another potential government shutdown. The deadline is January 30th. You know, I took notes. Let's talk about it. So the last shutdown started October 1st. It dragged into November. It lasted 43 days, which was the longest shutdown in history. Lawmakers only funded part of the government. When Congress left for the holidays, there was no agreement to fund most federal departments or to renew programs like Medicare and healthcare extenders and flood insurance. So what does this mean for federal workers? The same as before. You could be furloughed or labeled as essential and required to work without pay again. During the last shutdown, federal workers missed paychecks, air traffic controllers faced extreme stress, flights were delayed and canceled nationwide, Washington, D.C. slipped into economic contraction, nearby states like Maryland and Virginia were impacted, and economists say the full economic damage from that shutdown hasn't even shown up yet. Another one could make things worse. Some lawmakers say the talks are improving. Others admit that they are already preparing for a shutdown. And the president is worried about Venezuela. The bottom line is that federal workers are once again waiting while Congress negotiates with your livelihood on the line. January 30th is coming fast. I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Comment Fed if you're a federal worker. Save this if you lived through the last shutdown. And tag someone who needs to see this. Also, don't forget to follow this page where we cover everything employment related, period.
There's not enough people talking about the government shutting down later this month. No one's clocking it. I'm clocking it early. I'm clocking it. You think the government's going to pass 9 bills in the next 28 days? You think they're going to do that? No, bitch, they're going to get to the 31st and like, oh my God, we got to do this, don't we? Or completely ignore it. Like they just did the last one. Right. I'm clocking it early. You should clock it too. Prepare now. Prepare now.
So Congress dipped out early for Christmas and then took your health care with them. They packed their bags, turned off the lights, and clocked out and left you holding the bill. Now, at first, this sounds like that government's too big conservative talking point, right? You know, government doesn't work. But see, here's the flip. Government didn't fail. They failed not to show up. That is not dysfunction. That is alignment. See, it only takes a handful of people in Congress, just a few, to stop it or slow it down. That's all it takes. But they're not ignoring Trump because they disagree with him. They're ignoring Trump because they agree with everything that he's doing. Congress agrees with the president on taking your health care. Congress agrees that your family should be struggling. Congress agrees that you should be working hard and getting less while the rich get richer. Because see, benefactors, they don't feel scarcity. They create it. Think of Congress like a fire department that clocks out during a blaze. Then they tell you, well, you should have had better insurance. Meanwhile, the executive branch is out here moving money, rewriting rules, and acting unchecked. And Congress just standing around like they're decorative pillows. So here's the real question nobody's asking. Why y'all still paying Congress? Why are you paying $174,000 a year to people who don't want to work? Because if Trump has a mandate, right? And so that's why Congress isn't doing anything. What are you paying them for? That's like paying a security guard that's watching you get robbed and turn around and say, hey man, I'm working for the thief. Like what? Here's the undeniable truth. Congress is not frozen. They're on strike against you. Here's another truth people don't like to hear. You don't have to wait for an election to apply pressure to your elected officials. Those are your employees. It's almost like y'all forgot about that. Call them, email them, light up their offices, get in there. Let them know if they're not going to work, they don't deserve a check. Because scarcity isn't natural, it's manufactured. And right now, they're doing just fine for themselves.
Everyone is completely focused on Venezuela and what's happening with Nicolas Maduro, and rightly so. That's a huge story. I want to also make sure that we're not losing focus on the other huge stories that are currently impacting our own country. I'm talking about skyrocketing healthcare costs, the Epstein files, and a government shutdown coming in just a few weeks. Tomorrow, Congress will be back in Washington, D.C. for the first time in several weeks. They have a lot to deal with, and there's not a lot of time to do it. So here's what you need to know. Let's start with the government shutdown because that really connects all of this. The fact is the U.S. government is scheduled to shut down again on January 30th. You're probably thinking, damn, didn't we just get out of a government shutdown? Yes, in fact, we did. We got out of the longest government shutdown in history in November. But what you may not fully understand is the deal that ended the shutdown didn't stop government shutdowns forever. It just kicked the can down the road and set up a new government shutdown deadline. The deal made by 8 Senate Democrats and almost all Senate Republicans included what's called a continuing resolution that just temporarily keeps the U.S. government open at status quo funding levels, but only until January 30th. That means unless the House and the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, pass some kind of bipartisan government funding bill, we are going to see another government shutdown at the end of this month. And I know for all of us, that feels like a whole month of working time to figure this out. No problem, right? Wrong. Congress does not work on normal business hours. According to the 2026 House schedule, the House is only expected to be in session 12 working days in January, which you can see highlighted on the calendar. Of course, those dates can change, but as of today, the reality is there's only 12 days, which is not much time. Now that you understand the time crunch we're up against, let's talk about the issues that are going to play into the deal to keep the government open. Let's start with healthcare. On January 1st, millions of Americans saw their health insurance costs skyrocket, as I've been reporting was going to happen since last summer. That happened for lots of reasons, but one of the key reasons that Congress controls is the enhanced premium tax credit, which expired at the end of 2025. Without that credit, we are expecting millions of people will be forced to just cancel their health insurance altogether because they simply can't afford it. We don't have official numbers of cancellations yet because open enrollment is still ongoing through the middle of January, but key watchdogs in the healthcare system estimate between 3 and 7 million Americans will be canceling their health insurance this year simply because they can't afford it. And that impacts all of us because those uninsured people will put a significant additional strain on the already stretched thin healthcare system and could cause insurance costs to go up again for those who do have health insurance. Now, because of this, it's very possible that Democrats are going to try and leverage their votes to keep the government open in exchange for some kind of concession from Republicans to bring back the enhanced premium tax credit to help Americans afford their health care. Now, the Republicans hate that idea, and instead the House Republicans passed their own health care plan right before they left on the holiday recess. I told you all about that plan in this video, but the fact is that Republican health care plan probably will not be able to get the necessary 60 votes in the Senate. Also keep in mind, there is a discharge petition that must go to the House floor in the next few days. And if passed, that discharge petition would reinstate and extend the enhanced premium tax credit for health insurance for 3 more years. Now, that may actually pass the House, but again, it's very unclear what it would look like in the Senate. And speaking of leveraging votes to keep the government open, it's also possible that Democrats could demand some kind of check that would require the Trump administration to get some kind of congressional approval before they take any more large-scale military actions like what happened over the weekend with Maduro, and before the U.S. military continues to strike any more of those alleged drug boats in international waters. Of course, over the weekend, President Trump implied that he's not stopping with Venezuela. He threatened the leaders of Colombia and Cuba with the same type of military force that we saw with Maduro, and even floated the idea, again, of taking Greenland, which is a territory of Denmark, which is a NATO ally. Lastly, I want to talk about the Epstein files, which, believe it or not, is somehow getting buried in all of this. Now, I want to remind you that the law signed by President Trump says the full Epstein files must be released on December 19th. Not only did that not happen, but December 19th was more than 2 weeks ago. There are also real concerns about selective redactions being made to those Epstein documents by Trump's Department of Justice that are not allowed in the law. And the fact that over the holidays, DOJ said, we found millions more Epstein documents. And now they're saying they're not going to release any more until like January 20th or 21st, which is definitely not what the law says. So with the looming government shutdown, skyrocketing healthcare costs, this military action that the Trump administration just took and is threatening to take again, plus the Epstein files, Congress has its hands full and not a lot of time to figure it out. While everyone is completely focused on Venezuela and what's happening with Nicolas Maduro, and rightly so, that's a huge...
is walking back into 2026 with a shutdown deadline, a healthcare crisis, and a brand new foreign conflict on its plate. And that's just Monday. So here's what's actually happening on Capitol Hill this week. No fluff, no spin. Congress is returning from the holidays with one of the most chaotic to-do lists that we've seen in years. And at the top of that list is fallout from President Donald Trump's decision to launch strikes in Venezuela and capture Nicolas Maduro. Now he's saying the U.S. will run the country for the foreseeable future. That alone would dominate Washington, but it's only one of 5 major fights that's already in motion. First, there's healthcare. Enhanced Obamacare tax credits for 22 million people expired on January 1st. Premiums are spiking right now. In the House, a small group of Republicans joined Democrats to force a vote to extend those very same subsidies for 3 years. It'll probably pass the House, but Senate Republicans have already said the bill is dead on arrival. Without a deal, millions will pay more, downgrade coverage, or lose their insurance entirely. Secondly, the government funding deadline. Congress has until January 30th to avoid another shutdown. Right after the longest shutdown in U.S. history just last fall. Democrats don't seem willing to use the same shutdown tactic that they used before, but tensions are high. Lawmakers are also demanding answers from Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over claims that they misled Congress before the Venezuela operation. Thirdly, a stock trading ban for Congress. A rare left-right coalition is pushing the Restore Trust in Congress Act, basically banning lawmakers and their spouses from owning or trading stocks. Support is growing, but we've seen this momentum die before. But this time it seems like it's different. Fourth, AI and privacy rules. After the Kids Online Safety Act and COPA 2.0 passed the Senate in 2024 but died in the House, lawmakers are trying again with a narrower package focused on protecting kids online. But with the Senate now under Republican control, no one knows what version, if any, can survive both chambers. And all of this is happening in an election year, with midterms just months away. So here's the bigger picture. Congress isn't just juggling policy, it's juggling power, healthcare costs, government funding, war powers, AI rules, and corruption. Reforms all hit regular people long before they hit politicians. And in a year where every decision becomes a campaign ad, the stakes are sky high. If you want more breakdowns that cut through the noise and actually explain what's going on in Washington, hit follow. Drop me a comment and share this with someone who needs the real story. Congress is walking back into 2026 with a shutdown deadline, a health care crisis, and a brand new foreign conflict on its plate. And that's just Monday. So here's what's actually happening on Capitol Hill this week. No fluff, no spin. Congress is returning from the holidays.
It's actually getting tougher each and every passing day. So it actually said that there is a pending government shutdown that is supposed to happen by the end of this month. Like, the thing is that a whole lot has been happening. Even this Venezuela thing that has been that has happened. Also, I think is distraction. I also think that so many things is just happening at once, and this might probably affect people's mental health. There is a way at which things we just keep on getting worse instead of it to get better. It's getting worse. There is a level at which it will just start affecting people's mental health. Okay, now let's talk about this um particular stitch that went viral sometimes like last week where a YouTuber, a conservative man decided to go to Michigan, talking about how these Somalian people, or Minnesota, not Michigan, Minnesota, talking about how he feels that they have been scamming, even though they have history of scamming the system, right? And this guy went over there with his crew members. He found out that there has been a lot of scam going on in the child care system and all of that. I'm not disputing the fact that he can be right or wrong, but it was so shocking that because of that single thing that happened, child care was actually cut, like the funding was withheld till further notice, right? With other things that is happening with the healthcare, affordable affordable or Obamacare that have actually skyrocketed right about now. I saw a woman crashing out, talking about how she cannot even afford her medication. There is other people complaining one way or the other. Am I even going to talk about the way at which the groceries are just skyrocketing? Am I even going to talk about other things that is affecting human, other things that is affecting availability of resources? Like, if this government should shut down right about now, we know what happened when government shut down last year. We know how it affected so many organization, bodies, and all of that. And we're just barely few days in New Year, and there's another pending one if needs are not being met. The worst part is that there are so many MAGA supporters who still think that all of these things are movie. Like they think it's a joke. They think that all of the things that have been happening is something to joke with. It's something that, oh, just come off it. It is getting tougher. It is getting tougher each and every person day. And it's something that really, really nuts. Is not even supposed to be joked with. I just pray at the end of the day, everyone will just keep true. At the end of the day, everyone will just be fine because, oh God, it's getting very tough, lovelies. It's getting very tough and hard. You know, things are going high. Childcare being withheld, government shutting down, groceries skyrocketing, aliens all over the place, brain chip being introduced by Elon Musk. Like a whole lot is happening at a time. Venezuelan president is being captured. Epstein list is yet that one is even paused. That Epstein list is paused. Anyway, lovelies, wanna just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're yet to do that. Like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one. Anyway, lovely, so now just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to the channel if you're yet to do that, like, and I will see you lovely when I upload the next one.